You approach the forest just as the mist begins to lift. The air is damp and still, and the trees ahead rise like pillars into a pale silver sky. There is no marked path, no carved entrance, only an open space between two thick roots, as though the forest has parted slightly to allow you in. You step forward, and the ground softens beneath your feet. Not muddy, but spongy with age. Fallen leaves and old moss form a silent welcome. Inside, the light changes. It no longer comes from above, but filters sideways through the canopy and thin green beams. The trunks are thick and gnarled, their bark rippling with patterns like flowing water. Ferns arch in wide fans from the base of nearly every tree. Their edges curl slightly with dew. A bird you don't recognize whistles a single, clean note. Then silence again. It's a quiet kind of place. The kind that seems to breathe. You walk slowly. The sound of your own steps is muffled by the forest floor. Every so often, a branch creaks gently overhead, or a leaf breaks loose and spirals down like a drifting feather. Somewhere nearby, water moves, not fast, but in a slow trickle, as though being careful not to disturb the roots. You follow it for a while, your fingers brushing against trunks that seem warmer than they should be. Smooth in places, rough in others, each one different. The deeper you go, the more the forest feels like it's watching, not in a threatening way, but as though it remembers every step. There are markings on some of the trees, shallow, deliberate carvings. Not letters, not quite. You pause to look at one, where lichen has grown into the grooves. It's shaped like a looping spiral. You touch it lightly, and the air around it seems cooler. When you pull your hand away, the forest exhales. A slow breeze moves past your ears and lifts your hair just for a moment. You pause at a cluster of mushrooms growing in a ring beside a smooth stone. Their caps are pale and delicate, with a faint shimmer as if dusted with frost. You crouch to examine them. Each one is slightly different. Some tall and slender, others squat and round, yet all feel like part of a pattern. The ground here smells faintly sweet, like old bark and something softer, almost floral. You don't touch the mushrooms. It seems like they should be left exactly as they are. As you continue, your footfalls grow slower, more deliberate. You find yourself stepping around particular roots, ducking beneath lower branches, not out of necessity but from instinct. It feels like walking through someone's home, a place lived in, with quiet customs and invisible rules. A small bird startles from a low bush ahead and darts up into the canopy, leaving behind a single silver-blue feather caught on a twig. You leave it where it is. The trees grow stranger the farther you go. One has bark that spirals upward in ridges like winding staircases. Another leans at a sharp angle, yet its leaves reach upward as if pulled by unseen strings. Some roots arch up from the ground and back under again like the ribs of enormous sleeping animals. The forest seems to curve gently to the right, as though guiding you without ever forcing your path, and you follow, trusting the silence. Up ahead, the canopy thins just enough to reveal shafts of gold light streaming down like distant columns. Dust motes drift lazily in the glow, swirling whenever the breeze finds its way in. The breeze carries a smell with it, faint but unmistakable, of pine needles, wild herbs, and something like candle wax. It's a warm scent, oddly comforting, and you pause just to breathe it in. For a moment, you feel rooted yourself, like part of the forest stillness. You find a fallen log and sit. It is half covered in bright moss, soft and yielding like velvet. Around you, tiny insects drift without urgency, and in the distance, a shape moves, tall, narrow, and slow. Maybe it was just a trick of the light. You blink, and it's gone. But nothing feels urgent here. Time seems to stretch and soften, like dough beneath careful hands. You pause at a patch of bioluminescent lichen glowing faintly on a low boulder. Its pale blue-green light seems to pulse in tiny rhythms, as though alive. You lean forward, noticing the subtle warmth it gives off. The sight warms you too, as though the forest is offering a secret gift just for you. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the gentle glow fill your vision with shifting patterns. A soft rustle to your right draws your attention. You stand and find a shallow stream weaving through the roots like a silver ribbon. You kneel at its bank and watch water slip over smooth stones, each ripple catching fragments of light. You cup some in your hand and bring it to your lips, sweet, cool, and bearing a trace of something mineral-rich. The taste grounds you, reminding you of earth and life flowing freely. Further on, you come across an ancient tree whose trunk is split open like a doorway. Inside, the hollow is large enough to step into, and you step carefully across its smooth interior. The air here is stiller, as though held in stasis. Tiny motes drift lazily in the darkness, illuminated by the faint glow of fungus patches on the wood. You linger, listening to the hush, feeling as though you've entered the heart of the forest itself. Just beyond the hollow, you discover a circle of flat stone set into the earth. Each stone bears simple carvings, concentric circles, wavy lines, and small dots. You trace one with your fingertip and feel a gentle vibration run through the ground. For a heartbeat, you sense the forest's pulse in your own body. Then it fades, leaving you with a renewed sense of connection. As you rise, the ground slopes gently upward, and you climb a short rise. At the top, the trees part to reveal a small natural terrace overlooking the forest floor. The view stretches out, a sea of green-tipped branches shifting subtly in the breeze. A soft chorus of distant bird calls drift upward, and you exhale a slow breath, feeling light and expansive. Sunlight shifts again as midday nears, painting the forest floor in patches of emerald light. You notice the temperature has warmed and the air feels a touch drier, carrying hints of pine resin and wildflowers hidden in the undergrowth. A gentle hum, almost like distant singing, drifts on the breeze. You tilt your head, trying to locate its source, but it wavers just out of reach, weaving through the treetops. A narrow path of crushed pine needles appears beneath your feet, leading you toward a denser stand of pines. Each step releases a soft whisper of needles and cones, and you lower your hand to brush the tops of the trees as you pass. The needles are cool and springy, and you pause to press your palm against the trunk of a grand pine, its bark firm and knobbly, its scent sharp and invigorating. You follow the needle-strewn path until it ends at a small clearing where a single, perfectly smooth boulder sits alone. You rest your hand on its cool surface, feeling a faint thrumming beneath your fingertips. Looking around, you see carved elven symbols worn by time and weather. Even faded, they radiate calm authority. You sense that here, the forest's guardians once paused, as do you now. From the edge of the clearing, you spy a narrow gap between two ancient oaks. Through this opening, the light beyond seems softer, more golden, as though the day itself is waiting to greet you. A gentle breeze carries a final whisper of birdsong and wind, coaxing you forward. You step into the gap and feel a lightness settle over your shoulders, as though the forest has approved your passage. When you stand again, the path ahead seems slightly more open, not because someone made it that way, but because it's where you're meant to go next. Leaves rustle gently to the left, and a small glade begins to open through the trees. Light floods in softly, not harshly, and something about it makes the back of your neck prickle, not with fear, but with a quiet sense of being called. You move forward, drawn by that gentle pull, and the trees begin to murmur. The glade is round and open, ringed by ancient trees whose branches lean inward as if in silent conversation. A soft carpet of grass, mottled with tiny lavender and ivory flowers, cushions your every step. When the breeze stirs, the petals tremble and release a faint honeyed perfume that drifts through the air. You inhale deeply and feel tension melt from your shoulders, as though the very atmosphere here has been woven for calm. At the centre of the clearing lies a stone basin, its rim worn smooth by countless seasons. You lower yourself onto the grass and peer into the still water. Your reflection looks back, framed by swaying branches and dancing shafts of green light. Then, without warning, concentric ripples spread across the surface, not from any visible disturbance but from some hidden pulse deep within the glade. Your skin pricks with awareness, and you realise the water is responding to the breath of the forest itself. Rising, you trace delicate runes carved into the basin's edge, interlocking spirals and looping arcs that seem to glow faintly beneath your fingers. A low vibration hums through the stone and travels up your arm, settling in your chest like a gentle heartbeat. You close your eyes for a moment, synchronizing your own breath to the cadence of that hidden rhythm, and as you do, the leaves above rustle in appreciative harmony. In this moment, you are both observer and participant in the living song of the woods. A sudden movement at the glade's perimeter draws your gaze. A slender fox, fur the colour of dusk, emerges from shadow and pauses just beyond the basin. Its golden eyes hold a quiet intelligence as it watches you, head tilted. You feel no fear, only a curious kinship, before the creature slips silently back into the undergrowth, as though guiding you onward without a word. Compelled by this silent invitation, you follow a narrow path of crushed needles and fallen petals. The trees here grow closer, their trunks rising in graceful columns that support a vaulted ceiling of interlaced branches. Shafts of sunlight filter through, turning motes of dust into drifting lanterns. With each step you sense the glade's magic winding tighter around you, a gentle enfolding that urges you deeper. Deeper in, you discover a ring of standing stones half buried in emerald moss. Each monolith bears carvings that echo those on the basin, spirals, radiating lines, and tiny clusters of dots. You sit upon the largest stone and press your palm to its cool face. A subtle thrum pulses through the earth beneath you, and you imagine the glade's memories flowing up through the roots and stones into your veins. Time stretches and softens, and you feel cradled by the ancient wisdom surrounding you. After a time that seems measured both in heartbeats and hours, you rise and brush damp grass from your clothes. The light in the glade has shifted to a warm golden hue as late morning approaches. Shadows lengthen, sliding across the stones and petals, and the air tastes sweet with morning dew. You notice a break in the circle of trees, a gentle gap where two great oaks stand sentinel, their bark entwined at the base. Beyond them, the forest floor slopes upward toward a new discovery. You step through the natural archway formed by the oaks and pause at the crest of a gentle rise. There, half hidden by ferns and trailing vines, you glimpse the low walls of a moss-covered outpost. Stones hewn long ago stand firm against the encroaching roots, as though waiting patiently for your arrival. You inhale one last deep breath of the glade's serene air before stepping forward, ready to explore what lies beyond. Soft beams of light filter through cracks in the canopy overhead, illuminating a carpet of bioluminescent mushrooms that glow in patches of cool blue and green. You crouch to study them, noting how their caps pulse gently, as if breathing. When you touch one, it dims momentarily, then brightens again, as though responding to your touch. The effect is hypnotic, and you pause to watch the subtle play of light dance across the shaded earth. Nearby, a slender ribbon of mist clings to the ground, swirling around your ankles as you walk. It carries a faint floral sweetness, jasmine or night-blooming lily, though no such flowers are in sight. You follow the mist's winding path, fingertips grazing the tops of bracken and dew-laden grass. It guides you past a cluster of silver-leafed shrubs whose leaves chime softly when brushed, producing a delicate bell-like tone that harmonizes with the whispered voices of the trees. Up ahead, the forest floor drops away into a shallow depression, revealing a hidden pool fed by an underground spring. You crouch at its edge, watching in fascination as the water reflects the canopy in crisp detail. Tiny motes of light drift across the surface, neither insect nor leaf, but something more ethereal, before sinking quietly beneath the glassy water. You scoop a handful into your palm. It feels lighter than air, almost tingling as it passes over your skin. Rising again, you notice small footprints pressed into the damp soil, a delicate three-toed pattern that you cannot identify. They lead toward a curling vine draped over a fallen trunk. You follow them, heart fluttering with curiosity, until you reach a hidden enclave where silver petals lie scattered among green moss. Each petal is etched with faint geometric symbols. You gather one and hold it between finger and thumb, marvelling at its intricate design before letting it fall softly back to the ground. The final stretch of the glade reveals an ancient gateway formed by two towering yews, their trunks twisted together like lovers' arms. Vines and blossoms weave through their bark, creating a living arch. Beyond it, the forest seems to sigh, beckoning you onward. You step through, feeling a gentle shift in the air, cooler and tinged with the promise of stone and moss. A chorus of hidden birds greets your passage, their wings brushing softly against leaves as they dart overhead in fleeting patterns. Their calls echo like distant flute notes, weaving into the murmur of the glade and adding warmth to the lingering hush. You pause to watch their dance, hearts slowing in time with their graceful arcs. As you move forward, the light grows softer still, filtered through layers of lichen and moss that drape the branches like curtains. The ground beneath transitions into a mosaic of pebbles and fallen bark, each step creating a gentle crackle that blends seamlessly with the other sounds of this living place. A gentle warmth spreads across your skin as a beam of sunlight breaks through the canopy to touch your shoulder. It feels like a silent benediction, as though the forest itself acknowledges your journey and grants you a moment of radiant calm before what comes next. You notice a faint shimmer in the air, tiny motes of dust and pollen suspended in the glow, drifting in slow spirals as if dancing to an unseen melody. You reach out, and they swirl around your fingertips, settling briefly on your skin before dispersing into the warm light. The roots here form natural benches and arches, their ancient wood polished smooth by decades of unseen passage. You rest your hand on one arch and feel its grain, rough spitfire and tender in turn, as though the forest wood remembers every traveller who has leaned upon it. A low hum, barely perceptible, rises from the earth beneath your feet. You pause to close your eyes and listen. It isn't one sound, but many. Stones shifting, water dripping, the faint hum of magic lingering in hidden streams. In this chorus you find a sense of belonging, as though you have become part of the forest's quiet heartbeat. With one final deep breath of the glade's scented air, you step through the yew archway and into the quiet promise of what lies ahead. You emerge from the trees into a hidden clearing where a low stone outpost stands, its walls thick with moss and vine, the remnants of vigilant guardians long since gone. You step onto the soft earth, pausing to trace a deep crack that runs like a river across one of the mossy stones. Small plants have rooted in its crevices, their leaves brushing your fingertips as you lean closer. The air here is cooler, carrying a faint metallic tang of ancient mortar mixed with the scent of wet stone. Ahead, an archway of crumbling blocks frames a narrow courtyard. You pass beneath it and find the floor tiled with irregular flagstones. Each slab is worn smooth by time, and between them, tufts of grass push upward, determined to reclaim what once was. You walk slowly, listening to the hollow echo of your boots against the silent stones. To your right stands a collapsed tower, its upper stories toppled inward. Vines cascade down the jagged edges like green waterfalls, and small ferns flourish in the damp shadows. Stepping closer, you crouch to peer inside. Fallen stones form a jagged staircase leading to darkness. A faint draught of cool air drifts upward, carrying whispers of distant corridors. You rise and circle the courtyard, noting faded carvings along the walls, shields crossed with spears, crescent moons flanked by stars. Each symbol hints at the watch that once kept this place. You press your palm against the shield emblem and for an instant you feel a pulse, as though the memory of Sentinel still lingers in the stone. In the centre of the courtyard a small fountain stands dry. Its basin is carved into the shape of a coiled serpent whose head once spouted water. Now, moss clings to its scales, and a single blade of grass grows from its open mouth. You kneel and lightly brush away the moss, revealing the serpent's eye. a polished gemstone inset centuries ago. It gleams faintly, and you feel a subtle warmth there, as if the stone still holds a spark of life. Behind the fountain, you find a low bench carved from a single slab. You sit and run your fingers along the smooth surface. The bench is surprisingly comfortable, shaped to fit the curve of your body. You close your eyes for a moment and listen. The murmur of wind through the trees, a distant drip of water, and the steady beat of your own heart. Standing again, a narrow corridor of stone blocks leads away from the courtyard. You follow it, stepping between walls that rise just above your shoulder. Light filters through cracks overhead, illuminating motes of dust that drift lazily in the air. Your footsteps echo softly as you move deeper. The corridor opens into a small chamber where sunlight falls in a single beam through a collapsed roof. In the centre lies a stone table, etched with a map of the surrounding forest. Groves, glades, and hidden springs marked in delicate detail. You lean over and trace one path with your fingertip. It leads to places you have already visited, and to paths you have yet to explore. On the table's edge, a half-buried satchel rests. You reach down and lift it gently. The leather is cracked but supple. Inside, you find a carved wooden token in the shape of a leaf, and a small vial of clear liquid. You hold the token to the light. Its veins are exact replicas of the trees outside, and uncork the vial, inhaling a scent of pine and earth that fills you with grounded calm. Pocketing the token and vial, you exit the chamber through an opening half hidden by ivy. You emerge onto a grassy bank overlooking a shallow moat that circles the outpost. Its stagnant water mirrors the sky, broken only by a few fallen leaves drifting across the surface. You kneel and touch the water. It ripples gently as though greeting you. You pause at the edge of the moat and lean over to trace patterns in the cracked stone beneath the water's surface. Tiny fish dart away at your approach, their scales flickering like liquid silver. You smile at their startled dance and whisper a quiet apology before rising to continue your exploration. A low hum vibrates through the ground, drawing your attention to a half-buried hatch set into the courtyard floor. You clear away moss and dirt to reveal iron hinges still glinting faintly. Bracing yourself, you lift the heavy lid and peer into the darkness below. A cool draught rises, carrying the faint smell of damp earth and something else. Something like aged parchment. Kneeling at the hatch's edge, you lower yourself into a small vaulted chamber lit by shafts of light pouring through narrow cracks overhead. The walls here are lined with shelves carved directly into the stone, and you run your fingers along them, feeling the grooves where objects once rested. Your footsteps echo softly as you move toward a single shelf that still holds a scroll wrapped in oilskin. You gently unwrap the scroll, careful not to disturb its fragile fibres. The parchment unfurls to reveal diagrams of elven training stances, fluid postures captured in swirling ink lines, and notes in a script you cannot read but somehow sense as rhythmic and purposeful. You fold the scroll back and tuck it safely into your satchel alongside the wooden token and vial. Standing once more, you find a narrow stairway leading upward, its steps worn smooth by countless ascents. You climb slowly, your hand trailing along the cool stone wall as you ascend. At the top you emerge back into the courtyard, the morning light now at its height, and you feel ready to follow the next invitation the forest has laid before you. Before stepping onto the forest floor once more, you glance back at the outpost. Its silent stones seem to stand taller, as though offering you a final salute. You bow your head in gratitude for the Guardian's watch, then turn toward the path that leads onward. You step onto a winding trail where fallen leaves and slender roots weave a natural mosaic beneath your feet. The forest here feels denser, as though the trees lean in to listen, and the token at your side seems to pulse softly in response. With each step, the scent of damp wood and fresh pine grows stronger, guiding you deeper into the silent woodlands. Sunlight filters through the canopy in speckled patterns, illuminating small clusters of violets and moss-covered stones. You crouch to trace a delicate fern unfurling its fronds, marvelling at the precision of each curled leaflet. The forest's quieter details draw you in, and you move with reverence, careful not to disturb the living tapestry around you. A gentle breeze carries the faint echo of distant laughter, soft, indistinct, like the memory of a joyful moment long past. You pause, closing your eyes to focus on the sound, and for a heartbeat, you feel the presence of those who once walked these paths alongside you, unseen but intimately felt. Further on, the path curves beside a fallen pillar draped in silver-green lichen. You rest a hand against its damp surface and feel a tremor, as though the stone remembers each footstep that passed before. In the shadow of this ancient sentinel, you uncork the vial and let a drop of the clear liquid fall onto the lichen. It glows briefly, casting a soft halo of light around the pillar before fading, a silent acknowledgement of your passage. Bolstered by this quiet ritual, you continue until a curtain of hanging ivy appears ahead. The leaves overlap in a thick veil of green, their edges gilded by sunlight. You reach out, brush them aside, and step through, ready to discover the next sacred space. You push aside a curtain of hanging ivy and step into a wide, circular clearing framed by tall, slender trees, whose trunks bear carved notches from countless practice strikes. The vaulted space feels almost cathedral-like, as if these trees were silent pillars supporting a living roof of leaves. Soft earth cushions your boots, and the scent of pine resin mingles with the faint tang of aged wood. Here, the air holds a charged stillness, as though every blade and bough is poised in anticipation of movement, ready to echo the slightest footfall or whisper of a training blade. Moving toward the centre, you notice concentric scars in the soil. Footwork circles where warriors once paced, honing balance and precision. Each circle is worn smooth, the earth compacted by thousands of deliberate steps. You step into the innermost ring and pause, closing your eyes to sense the vibrations beneath your feet. A gentle thrum of energy, like the heartbeat of the clearing itself. When you open your eyes, sunlight filters down through a gap in the canopy, spotlighting the ring and illuminating tiny motes of dust that drift like suspended diamonds. Along the clearing's edge hang wooden rings woven from supple saplings, their braided vines bound with dark leather strips. You reach out to lift one, marvelling at its craftsmanship. The ring yields under your hand with a quiet giving that reminds you of the forest's own flexibility. Gently setting it back, you sense a memory in the wood, 1,000 repetitions of parry and thrust etched into its grain. A faint breeze stirs the rings, setting them to sway in unison, creating a soft rhythmic clatter that harmonizes with the rustle of leaves overhead. Not far from the rings rests a rack of practice spears, each shaft polished smooth and capped with dull bronze points shaped like elongated elven leaves. You select one and cradle it in your hands, marvelling at its balance, neither too heavy nor too light, as if crafted to become an extension of your arm. Along the shaft, delicate runes spell out stances you almost recognize: advance, retreat, guard, strike. As you hold it, the sunlight glints from the bronze tip, and you imagine yourself tracing graceful arcs through the air, the spear's weight guiding your movements in perfect harmony. Your gaze shifts to a shallow pit filled with soft, pale sand. Stepping inside, you kneel to brush your fingertips through its surface, leaving behind faint impressions of your own hand. The granules slide and settle, like memories rearranging themselves at your touch. You stand and move through a series of silent stances, shifting weight from heel to toe, lowering into a steady guard, extending an arm as if thrusting toward an unseen opponent. With each silent motion, the sand beneath your feet whispers, capturing and releasing the echo of your practice. At the far side of the clearing, a stout wooden post stands firmly rooted in the earth, its surface scarred by countless practice strikes. You press your palm against it, feeling the rough gouges carved by axes and swords alike. A deep resonance vibrates up your arm, as though the wood itself remembers each blow. You lean back, closing your eyes, and synchronize your breathing with that distant echo, sensing a unity between your pulse and the post's silent song. Near the base of one tree you find a simple wooden bench carved from a single plank of elm. You sit and rest the spear across your lap, letting your mind settle. The canopy above shifts with a light breeze, casting dancing shadows across the clearing's floor. You inhale deeply, tasting the faint smoke of distant hearth fires mingled with the crisp scent of pine and damp earth. In this tranquil lull, you feel both the discipline of the space and the freedom it offers, the balance between focus and flow, embodied in every grain of sand and every carved notch. Rising, you follow a narrow path where moss-lined stepping stones lead away from the hollow and toward a glowing pool nestled among ancient roots. Each stone bears the faint imprint of boot and blade, guiding you gently onward. As you cross the last stone, you glance back at the training hollow one final time, a place of quiet intensity where the forest itself served as both teacher and sparring partner. With a respectful nod to its silent lessons, you step forward toward the spellful pool awaiting just beyond. Soft light filters in through the upper boughs, now tinged with afternoon gold, and you notice how the carved notches glow warmly against the dark bark. Each notch seems to hold a memory of a strike perfectly executed, a stance held in calm determination, a lesson learned without words. You pause to run a fingertip along one such notch, feeling a faint warmth where the wood was smoothed by countless hands. A gentle wind stirs the leaves overhead, carrying with it the soft echo of the distant practice. A swish of wood through air, the muted thud of staff on target. You close your eyes and let the sound wash over you, as if the hollow itself whispers still of those who came before. When you open them again, the clearing feels both empty and alive, humming with unseen harmony. Noticing a low, moss-covered plinth tucked beneath a tree, you approach it to find a set of wooden forms, traditional training dummies carved in humanoid outlines. Each form bears slashes and dents arranged in patterns that map precise defensive strikes. You lean forward to examine the deepest gouges, imagining the force behind each blow and the skill required to land it with such grace. The final rays of sun cast long shadows across the hollow, and you stand in the clearing's centre once more, feeling its energy settle into your bones. You breathe in the scent of pine, sweat, and earth, embracing the stillness that follows exertion. Then, with a final glance at the silent rings and scarred post, you turn toward the path that leads onward. A small alcove between two ancient oaks reveals itself, draped in fuchsia blossoms and winding vines. Inside, practice weapons hang on hooks, short wooden blades, padded staffs, and targets carved with Elven script. You step in and lift a short blade, weighing it in your hand before replacing it respectfully. The alcove feels like a quiet shrine to skill and dedication. Beyond the alcove, the ground slopes gently downward, and you notice a shallow trench lined with polished river stones. Water trickles through, its soft babble contrasting the hollow's earlier stillness. You kneel at the trench's edge, dipping your fingers into the cool stream before standing and following its curve as it leads you out of the hollow. Birdsong drifts in on the breeze, melodies unfamiliar yet soothing, mixing with the distant rustle of branches. You inhale deeply, committing the notes to memory, feeling as though the forest itself hums a lullaby to accompany your departure. Each chirp and trill seems to bid you onward, gently guiding you toward new wonders. A final twist in the path reveals ancient tree roots forming a natural bench overlooking a misty hollow below. You sit and rest your hands on the knotted wood, closing your eyes to absorb the hollow's last whisper of discipline. As you rise, you brush a leaf from your sleeve and step forward, the clearing's lessons enfolding you like a silent mentor's embrace. A flicker of movement catches your eye near the base of a crooked ash tree. You approach slowly and discover a set of footprints preserved in the mud, barefoot, slender, spaced evenly apart. They look recent, though no one else has crossed your path today. You crouch beside them and press your hand gently into the earth beside the prints, as if to compare the quiet presence they left behind. The earth is cool and still damp, the print firm but soft-edged. Perhaps someone else was here this morning, going through their own silent forms before fading once more into the forest's embrace. Beyond the practice alcove and stream, a curved pathway opens into a grove ringed by smooth stones and scattered feathers, each placed as if by intention. You step carefully among them, noting how they seem untouched by wind. In the centre stands a tall leafless staff carved from silvery wood, its surface etched with graceful whorls and sigils. You place your hand against it, feeling a low warmth hum beneath your fingers. Not heat, but familiarity, as if the wood acknowledges you. There's no sound but your breath and the whisper of distant leaves, and even that seems muted, like the forest is listening. You wander further along a mossy ridge that overlooks the hollow you came from. From here, the space below seems almost like a story, its shapes and structures telling a quiet narrative of effort and repetition. Each ring, each post, each fallen leaf has a part in it. You pause on the ridge for a long moment, letting your eyes linger on the quiet rhythms below. There is no crowd, no ceremony, only the deep certainty that learning can be sacred even when it is silent and unseen. Descending from the ridge, you return to the path with a softened pace, the memory of the training field settling into your body like breath after movement. Every stone and root along the trail feels like a step measured by someone who has walked it many times before. And now, you too are one of them. You take one last glance behind you and bow your head slightly, not out of habit, but as a quiet farewell to the hollow that has, without a word, taught you something about discipline, grace, and stillness. As the path curves and begins to slope gently downward once more, the smell of damp earth becomes richer, tinged now with something cooler, cleaner, like the scent of rainfall moments before it touches skin. A pale shimmer begins to show between the trunks ahead. The rustle of leaves is joined by a soft chiming, like droplets falling on crystal. Something luminous waits just beyond the bend, and your steps grow slower, more reverent, as you approach the spellful pool. You come upon a pool nestled among ancient roots, its surface rippling with motes of enchanted light that drift downward like falling stars. The pool is shallow and ringed with silvery stones, smooth and flat as if placed by unseen hands. Water trickles into it from thin threads that descend directly from the trees, thin falls so fine they shimmer in midair, casting arcs of light as they fall. Each droplet lands with a gentle chime, the sound light and crystalline, like the ring of distant wind chimes stirred by an evening breeze. You step quietly toward the edge, careful not to disturb the soft moss underfoot. The forest hushes around you, the canopy dense above, allowing only narrow beams of sunlight through. These beams mingle with the drifting motes, and lend the whole clearing a silvery blue glow, dreamlike and almost unreal. When you kneel by the water, your reflection is strangely blurred, not distorted by movement, but softened by the magic that seems to saturate the pool. Your eyes appear gentler, your face calmer, as though the water reflects not how you look, but how you feel. Reaching out, you touch the surface with your fingertips. The water is cool, but not cold. It glides over your skin like silk. Ripples spread in smooth circles, and the motes floating above the surface respond, rising and falling like fireflies dancing in slow rhythm. Where your fingers rest, faint pulses of pale blue light fan outward, each echo fading into stillness. You lift your hand and watch the last ripple disappear, leaving the surface perfectly flat again. The pool's serenity remains unbroken, as though it absorbed the moment and offered it back as quiet peace. Beside the pool, you find a low stone ledge covered in fine ferns and petals in soft violet hues. You sit, resting your hands in your lap, and watch as the light plays across the water. Occasionally the motes shift in colour, from pale blue to gold, then to soft green, each change slow and subtle, like watching the forest breathe. The longer you sit, the more it feels like the pool is listening, or perhaps dreaming, and you're simply a welcome guest within its quiet thoughts. Behind you, carved into a thick root that arches above the pool like a wooden bridge, are old symbols worn down by time. You run your fingers across them gently, feeling the dips and rises. They're not letters exactly, but rather gestures frozen into wood. Circles, spirals, flowing lines that seem to guide your gaze along paths you don't entirely understand. Some curve toward the water, others point upward, into the canopy. One loops back around to meet itself, like a story with no end. A soft mist begins to rise from the surface, curling in wisps that catch the light. The droplets hover in the air like breath held too long, and when they drift close you feel no moisture, only a faint tingling across your skin like the air before a storm. Each wisp carries the scent of something both fresh and ancient, a memory you can't quite reach, or a voice too distant to hear clearly. You close your eyes and inhale slowly, letting it fill you. The feeling is not one of urgency, but of reverence. From the far side of the clearing you notice a fallen log that has hollowed out with age, its surface overtaken by moss and soft mushroom caps. Inside the hollow are fragments of old glass bottles, now etched by time and filled with glimmering powder, left behind perhaps by those who once used the pool to enhance their magic. You reach inside and lift one piece. The powder catches the light and flares for a moment, then settles into a steady glow. You return it gently, not wanting to disrupt the quiet ritual of the place. A few steps further, the trees begin to lean inward, their bark pale and smooth, their branches winding together like fingers laced in thought. You duck beneath one such arch and discover a secondary pool, smaller, narrower, hidden from view unless you were seeking it. This one holds no moats, no light, only absolute stillness. Its surface is dark, almost like polished stone, yet when you reach toward it, the pool pulls a thin thread of light from your fingers and dances it along the surface. You watch, transfixed, as the light curls into a soft spiral and vanishes. Returning to the main pool, you find the light has changed again. The falling droplets glow faint violet now, and the clearing is touched with the colour of twilight. Somewhere nearby, the soft hoot of an owl echoes through the trees, even though the sun still hangs faintly above. Time feels altered here. Not halted, not lost, but gently rearranged. You cannot say how long you've stayed, and it doesn't seem to matter. In this space, moments lengthen or fold inward, and your breath keeps the only steady rhythm. The silence around the pool is profound, but it isn't empty. Tiny creatures dart between the ferns and flowers, their movements almost too quick to see. A small dragonfly with iridescent wings flits just above the water, catching the light and scattering it like a prism. It pauses briefly, its delicate legs skimming the surface, then zips away toward a patch of wild flowers. You watch it go, mesmerized by the effortless grace with which it moves through this enchanted place. Near the water's edge, a cluster of luminous mushrooms grows in a tight circle. Their caps glow softly with a blue-green light that pulses gently, as if breathing in time with the forest. You lean down closer, noticing the fine details, delicate spores drifting lazily upward, the subtle textures of their stalks, and the way their light casts eerie shadows on the moss beneath. This quiet bioluminescence seems to add an otherworldly warmth to the clearing, making it feel like a sanctuary in the heart of the wild. Above you, the trees sway gently in a breeze you cannot hear. Their leaves shimmer, dusted with tiny motes of sparkling magic that catch and refract the sunlight. As the wind stirs, the lights scatter like a constellation being born anew, blinking softly in a silent rhythm. You breathe in the cool, fragrant air heavy with pine and something sweet, perhaps wild honey or blooming jasmine. It fills you with a calm that seeps deep into your bones. You notice a stone altar tucked beneath one of the larger roots, almost hidden from plain sight. It is rough-hewn, covered in delicate carvings of vines and stars. The altar is empty except for a single feather, pure white and impossibly light. When you pick it up, the feather seems to hum faintly in your hand like a quiet heartbeat. You hold it against your chest, feeling a pulse of warmth that spreads like sunlight across your skin. As you stand, the atmosphere around the pool shifts subtly. The light dims just a little, softening into a twilight glow that seems to settle all the forest into a dreamlike state. You feel yourself slowing, your thoughts drifting away like leaves on a slow stream. The magical air here is gentle but potent, encouraging your mind to unwind and your body to relax. It's the kind of calm that whispers of forgotten secrets and ancient peace. On the far side of the clearing, you see a narrow path winding between thick roots and mossy stones. Tiny lanterns shaped like glowing flowers line the trail. Their soft light spills onto the path in pools of gold and amber. You follow this gentle illumination a few steps, each one feeling lighter and more unburdened. The forest seems to breathe with you, each inhale deep and steady, each exhale releasing tension you didn't realize you carried. You come upon a shallow cave beneath an ancient oak, its entrance draped in delicate vines woven with silver leaves. Inside, faint glimmers of magic pulse in the air, reflecting off smooth crystals embedded in the walls. The cave feels like a secret haven, untouched by time or change. You step in, and the cool air brushes softly against your Honda Prelude Classic manual skin. The sound of dripping water echoes quietly, and for a moment it's as if the world has paused to listen. Reaching the back of the cave, you find a small basin carved from stone, filled with water that glows faintly with an inner light. The surface ripples with unseen energy, and the scent here is sweet and heady, like blooming nightshade mixed with wild mint. You dip your fingers into the basin, and a soothing warmth spreads up your arm, gentle but invigorating. It feels like the pulse of the forest itself, alive and eternal. Returning to the clearing, you sit once more by the pool's edge, letting your gaze wander over the shimmering surface. The motes of light float lazily, and you watch as one drifts close enough to rest on your palm. It feels like a tiny ember, warm and alive, before it flutters upward and joins its companions in a dance of radiant colour. You exhale slowly, your heartbeat syncing with the quiet rhythm of the enchanted pool. Finally you rise, feeling a lingering peace that stays with you like a soft cloak. The forest seems to hold its breath as you turn toward the path ahead, carrying the quiet magic of the spellful pool with you in your thoughts and steps. The way forward is gentle, wrapped in the promise of discovery and the soft light of evening settling over the trees. From the far side of the clearing, you see a narrow path winding between thick roots and mossy stones. Tiny lanterns shaped like glowing flowers line the trail. Their soft light spills onto the path in pools of gold and amber. You follow this gentle illumination a few steps, each one feeling lighter and more unburdened. The forest seems to breathe with you, each inhale deep and steady, each exhale releasing tension you didn't realize you carried. You come upon a sturdy bridge woven from living vines and supple branches, arching high above the forest floor. The wood beneath your feet is warm and springy, alive with a subtle pulse. As you step onto the bridge, a fresh breeze stirs the leaves around you, carrying the distant melody of a flute and the occasional soft whistle of an unseen bird. Along the edges of the bridges, delicate vines curl and twist, their tiny leaves shimmering with a faint silver dust that catches the light like morning dew. Occasionally you spot small blossoms nestled among the greenery, some with petals soft as silk, others sharp and glinting with subtle iridescence. The plants seem to respond to your presence, turning gently toward you as if welcoming your passage. Below the canopy, shafts of golden light filter down in slow, shimmering columns, illuminating patches of fern and moss like natural spotlights. Every now and then, a leaf detaches itself from the branches above and floats lazily downward, spinning slowly in the air before settling onto the forest floor. Watching it fall feels like witnessing a quiet moment of surrender, a peaceful cycle continuing without rush or interruption. As you continue your walk, the texture of the wooden bridge shifts beneath your feet, from smooth, polished planks to rougher, knotted sections where ancient bark has been left intact. You run your fingers along the railing, feeling the grooves and ridges that tell stories of seasons past. Storms weathered, rains soaked, sun warmed, and somehow it all feels alive, as if the bridge remembers everything. Occasionally you catch sight of small, glimmering creatures flitting between the branches, tiny fey-like beings, or perhaps simply forest insects, their wings catching the light and scattering it into rainbow prisms. Their movements are quick and playful, darting in and out of shadows, sometimes resting briefly on a leaf or petal before disappearing again into the twilight. The air around you shifts subtly as dusk deepens. The warmth of the day cools into a soft chill, carrying with it the scents of damp earth and blooming night flowers. Somewhere nearby, the faint tinkling of a bell or chime drifts through the trees, a delicate sound that seems to float effortlessly on the breeze. You listen, feeling a gentle calm settle deep inside you. At one point, the bridge curves sharply around a massive trunk, and you find yourself surrounded by towering bark scarred with ancient carvings. The symbols are faint but intricate, spirals, leaves, stars, etched long ago by hands no longer present. You trace the shapes with your eyes, wondering what stories they once told, and if the trees themselves still remember. In the quiet spaces between branches, clusters of soft moss grow thick and lush, their green hues ranging from bright lime to deep forest shades. You reach down to touch a patch, feeling its gentle springiness beneath your fingers. Tiny droplets of moisture cling to the moss, shimmering like scattered gems, and the faint scent of rain lingers, fresh and sweet. A sudden rustle draws your attention upward, where a pair of bright eyes briefly catch the fading light. A small forest creature, perhaps a squirrel or a shy bird, peers cautiously from its hidden nest among the leaves. You hold still, watching as it flicks its tail or ruffles its feathers, then slips away silently into the thickening twilight. As you near the end of this stretch of the canopy walk, the sound of distant water reaches your ears, the soft rhythmic splash of a stream or waterfall hidden beyond the trees. The noise blends with the evening chorus of crickets and night birds, weaving a gentle symphony that wraps around you like a lullaby, inviting your thoughts to drift and unwind. Finally, the path opens onto a wide platform nestled in the arms of a great tree, its branches stretching out like protective wings. Here, lanterns hang in clusters from the branches, their light casting warm, dancing shadows. You pause, taking in the scene, the interplay of light and shadow, the cool breeze carrying the scent of wood smoke and earth, and the quiet pulse of life high above the forest floor. The stars begin to peek through the gaps in the canopy, tiny pinpricks of light scattered across the vast dark ceiling above. You breathe deeply, the crisp night air filling your lungs with a refreshing clarity. The gentle creaking of branches and the whisper of leaves accompany your thoughts, creating a lullaby just for you. The platform feels like a haven suspended in time, a place where the world below fades away and only the steady rhythm of your breath and the quiet heartbeat of the forest remain. You lean against the smooth bark of the tree, feeling the faint vibrations of life pulsing through its core. Here, high above the forest floor, you are wrapped in a cocoon of calm. Soft rustling sounds hint at small creatures settling down for the night. The delicate flutter of wings brushes past, and you catch glimpses of glowing eyes watching from the shadows. There is a gentle magic in the air, a promise of safety and rest, as if the entire canopy is preparing to cradle you through the night. You close your eyes briefly, letting the cool breeze brush over your face and the forest's nocturnal symphony wash over your senses. Time seems to slow, each moment stretching and folding inward like the petals of a night-blooming flower. You feel the weight of the day lift, replaced by a profound, soothing stillness. As your gaze returns to the stars overhead, you notice faint trails of shimmering dust drifting through the air, traces of ancient magic that linger long after the sun has set. The forest around you hums softly with life, a quiet celebration of night's arrival. With a final deep breath, you prepare to descend from the canopy, stepping lightly along the wooden bridge as it curves back toward the forest floor. The world below waits in hushed anticipation, but for now you linger a moment longer in the soft embrace of the treetops. You step carefully down from the canopy walk, the wooden planks creaking softly beneath your feet as you rejoin the forest floor, where the gentle glow of evening settles over the tree homes of Illenar. The air feels cooler here, tinged with the scent of pine, moss, and the distant sweetness of blooming jasmine. Soft lantern light spills through woven branches, flickering warmly against the growing dusk. The path beneath your feet is worn smooth by countless journeys, moss-covered stones interspersed with patches of soft earth, cushioned by fallen leaves. Your footsteps are quiet, almost swallowed by the hum of the forest preparing for night. The trees around you rise tall and silent, their bark catching the fading light in a patchwork of shadow and gold. Ahead, nestled in the boughs, the tree homes glow gently like clusters of fireflies caught in the branches. They are crafted from living wood and woven leaves, shaped with careful hands and enchanted touch. Their walls shimmer faintly with protective wards, so subtle you wouldn't notice unless you reached out to feel the hum of magic in the air. Smoke curls lazily from slender chimneys, mingling with the evening mist. You pause to watch as a family of small luminescent birds flits between the homes, their iridescent feathers catching the light. Their soft chirping blends with the distant murmur of voices and the clinking of dishes, a quiet symphony of settled lives and gentle community. The village feels alive and warm, a stark contrast to the wild stillness of the deeper forest you just left behind. Stepping toward one of the nearest tree homes, you notice the delicate carvings etched into the bark around the entrance. Spirals and stars, leaves and vines, each symbol glowing faintly with a comforting blue light. The door is a living thing, shaped like a leaf curling closed, and it swings open with a gentle sigh as you near. Inside, the air is warm and fragrant with herbs hung to dry, lavender, sage, and wild mint. Soft mats and woven cushions cover the floor, inviting you to rest. Light from a small hearth dances across the walls, casting flickering shadows that make the carved patterns seem to move in time with the flames. A wooden table holds freshly gathered fruits and a steaming cup of tea, waiting as if the home itself had prepared for your arrival. You take a seat by the fire, feeling the gentle warmth seep into your skin. The scent of the herbs fills your lungs, soothing and familiar, and the quiet crackle of the flames offers a steady rhythm to your thoughts. Outside, the canopy rustles softly, as if whispering secrets only the forest knows. As you sip the tea, your mind drifts back to the spellful pool, the soft glow of motes and the gentle ripples of light still lingering behind your closed eyelids. The magic of that place feels like a thread woven into your own spirit, a delicate connection to the ancient and unseen. You realize that this forest, with all its quiet wonders, holds stories waiting to unfold, stories you're only beginning to discover. Rising, you step back outside into the deepening twilight. The village has settled into its evening rhythm. Lanterns bob gently in the hands of villagers, returning from their day's work. Laughter drifts from clusters of neighbours gathered beneath great trees, and the soft patter of small feet echoes on the forest floor. You wander along a winding path that curves through the village, past homes built high into the trunks of towering oaks and elms. Each tree home is unique, shaped by the hands and hearts of those who live within. Some have balconies draped in flowering vines. Others sport tiny gardens filled with herbs and wildflowers. The air is alive with the scent of earth and wood smoke, mingling with the faint sweetness of ripening berries. Here and there, faint glowing runes hover just above doorways or along railings, gentle wards that protect and nurture, woven with intention and care. You pause to watch as a small child chases after a glowing moth, their laughter a bright thread in the quiet tapestry of evening sounds. Further along, you reach the village square, an open space framed by ancient trees whose roots twist and curl like great serpents beneath your feet. At its centre stands a stone pedestal, carved with symbols that echo those by the spellful pool, spirals, circles and stars intertwined in a dance of meaning you feel but cannot fully name. The pedestal hums faintly with a power that feels both ancient and alive. Around the square, villagers gather quietly, some sitting on woven benches, others standing beneath hanging lanterns. The air is filled with the scent of freshly baked bread and sweet honey, and the soft murmur of voices sharing stories or singing low, soothing melodies. The community feels close-knit and bound by shared reverence for the forest that cradles their lives. You find an empty bench beneath a flowering tree and settle down, letting your gaze wander over the scene. Above, the branches are dusted with glowing blossoms, their petals shimmering in the soft light like tiny stars caught in spring. The petals drift lazily on the breeze, falling around you like a gentle rain of silver. A warm glow rises from the hearth scattered throughout the village as night deepens, and the sky overhead shifts from twilight blue to deep indigo. Stars begin to appear, blinking softly between the treetops, and a crescent moon hangs low, casting a pale silver light that bathes the village in quiet serenity. You close your eyes briefly, letting the sounds and scents and gentle warmth wash over you. The village breathes around you, alive with quiet magic and ancient rhythms. It feels as though time here flows differently. Slower, deeper, more connected to the pulse of the earth and the whisper of the wind. Opening your eyes, you notice a figure approaching, an elder of the village, their steps slow but sure. Their eyes shine with the wisdom of many seasons, and their presence carries a calm authority. They smile softly, greeting you with a nod that feels both welcoming and knowing. The elder sits beside you, their voice low and steady as they begin to speak of the forest's secrets, stories passed down through generations, tales of magic woven into the very roots of the trees, and the sacred bond between the people and the land they call home. Their words flow like the gentle currents of a stream, carrying you deeper into the heart of Ilena's ancient soul. You listen, feeling the weight and warmth of the history shared. The elder's stories awaken a sense of belonging and wonder, a reminder that you are part of something vast and enduring. The village, the forest, the magic, all intertwined in a living tapestry that stretches beyond sight and time. As the elder's voice fades into the quiet night, you find yourself gazing upward once more, the stars twinkling like distant promises. The forest hums softly, cradling you in its timeless embrace. Here, among the tree homes of Ilena, you feel a deep peace settle within you, a calm certainty that the journey you have begun is part of a larger story, one that you will continue to explore with every step you take. You rise slowly, bidding the elder good night, and begin your walk back along the village path. The lanterns glow warmly, the trees sway gently in the soft breeze, and the night enfolds you in its quiet magic. The forest, alive and ancient, holds its secrets close, but tonight it has shared a glimpse of its heart, inviting you to listen, to dream, and to belong. You step carefully into a hidden garden, nestled deep within the ancient forest, where the air itself seems infused with a subtle magic. Here, the plants shimmer softly, their leaves and petals pulsing with gentle hues of silver, blue, and green that glow faintly against the dim canopy light. The garden feels sacred, a secret sanctuary cultivated by unseen hands, where every breath invites peace and rest. A soft rustling draws your attention to the underbrush, where a small hedgehog emerges cautiously from beneath a thick tangle of ferns. Its tiny, rounded body is dusted with glowing pollen that sparkles faintly in the ambient light. The creature pauses to blink slowly, its dark eyes reflecting the garden's shimmering glow, and then it snuffles softly before disappearing quietly into a mossy burrow, hidden beneath twisted roots. As it retreats, a delicate trail of sparkling dust lingers in the air, drifting gently like fairy dust caught in a slow, magical breeze, as if the garden itself had blessed the little visitor's passage. Between two flowering branches stretched a spiderweb so intricate it resembles a finely woven tapestry, each silk strand catching the glow from nearby bioluminescent flowers. The web glistens with tiny beads of dew, perfectly round and shimmering like polished crystals. As you watch, small insects crawl carefully along the silk threads, their movements deliberate and slow, almost as if they are guarding a secret message spun from silver threads. The web catches the light and casts delicate dancing shadows on the leaves below, an exquisite blend of nature's artistry and magic in harmony. Near a hidden corner of the garden, you discover a small pool partially concealed behind a curtain of cascading leaves and soft vines. The water's surface is perfectly still, reflecting the glowing flowers hanging above like twin flames flickering in a quiet dance. The mirrored light creates a mesmerizing interplay of colours, soft purples, gentle blues and pale greens that shimmer in slow rhythmic waves. You crouch to observe, fascinated by how the water seems to hold its breath, frozen in time, inviting you to lose yourself in its calm reflections. Beneath your feet, the moss cushions each step with gentle softness, but there is more than just texture. There is a subtle pulse, like the steady heartbeat of the earth itself. With each footfall, you become more aware of this faint vibration travelling up through your soles, grounding you deeper into the enchanted soil beneath the garden. It is as though the moss breathes alongside you, sharing the slow, deliberate rhythm of the garden's life force, anchoring you in the present moment, peaceful and unhurried. A crystalline chime rings out unexpectedly, clear and pure as a single delicate petal from a nearby flower detaches and drifts slowly through the air. It floats downwards with a graceful, almost deliberate motion, brushing softly against your outstretched hand like a whispered secret shared between old friends. The petal lands gently on the moss beside you, its velvety surface catching the faint glow of the garden's light. This quiet moment lingers, a fleeting connection to the fragile beauty surrounding you, a reminder of the gentle mysteries held within this sacred place. Not far from where you sit, a circle of tiny mushrooms glows softly, pulsing with light that alternates between pale pink and mint green. The gentle illumination seems to pulse in time with your breathing, inviting you to slow your pace and become one with the garden's serene rhythm. You watch as the mushroom's light swells and recedes like a calm tide, casting soft shadows that ripple across the moss and leaves. Their warmth is subtle but undeniable, as if these small fungi are silently welcoming you into their quiet world, a place of rest and gentle magic. A faint breeze stirs through the garden, carrying with it a rich, intoxicating scent of wild roses mingled with the fresh, clean aroma of recent rain. Layers of pine and sweet grass blend into the air, weaving a fragrant tapestry that fills your lungs with each slow, deep breath. The breeze rustles the leaves overhead, setting off a cascade of twinkling motes that drift lazily like a slow snowfall of light, each one catching and refracting the garden's soft glow. You close your eyes, letting the scent and the light wrap around you, a silent lullaby coaxing your mind to quiet and your body to rest. In one corner, you notice a patch of velvet-leaved plants, their surfaces smooth and warm beneath your fingertips. The soft texture feels like a gentle caress, and as you press your hand lightly against the leaves, you sense a subtle warmth spreading through your palm and up your arm. It is as if the plants themselves are alive with a quiet energy, welcoming you into their sanctuary. Their presence is calming, a reminder that this garden is a living, breathing refuge, a place where the natural world and magic blend seamlessly into a gentle embrace. Above you, the first stars begin to appear in the deepening sky, tiny points of light that mirror the soft glow emanating from the garden below. The night canopy feels unexpectedly close, as though the sky itself bends down to watch over this hidden refuge. The stars twinkle gently in time with the pulsing lights of the magical plants, creating an otherworldly harmony that invites you to breathe slowly and sink deeper into the tranquil night. It feels like the entire universe has paused, holding its breath in reverence for this quiet moment of peace. As the garden's ambient light dims gradually, the soft shadows deepen, and the gentle luminescence takes on a more soothing tone. You feel wrapped in a cocoon of quiet and calm, as if the garden itself is cradling you in its ancient arms. The subtle play of light and shadow encourages your thoughts to slow, your muscles to relax, and your breath to find a steady, peaceful rhythm. This is a place designed for rest, for reflection, and for the quiet unfolding of dreams that will carry you gently into sleep. The gentle song of the garden is almost imperceptible, a soft hum rising from petals and leaves, a slow vibration in the earth. As you listen, you begin to discern faint whispers carried by the breeze, voices ancient and wise telling stories of growth and renewal, of seasons passing in endless cycles. You feel as though the garden itself remembers those who have walked here before, their hopes and secrets entwined with the roots and stones, held safe in this glowing sanctuary. You reach out to touch a luminous flower, its petals cool and smooth, alive with a delicate shimmer that pulses beneath your fingertips. The light from the flower seems to respond to your touch, brightening slowly and bathing your hand in soft radiance. You sense a deep, quiet gratitude emanating from the blossom, as if the garden acknowledges your presence, your respect, and your quiet reverence. Further along, a narrow path curves gently through the garden, lined with stones that gleam faintly underfoot. Tiny lanterns shaped like glowing flowers hang from slender branches overhead, casting pools of warm, golden light onto the soft earth. As you follow this illuminated trail, the feeling of peacefulness deepens, each step drawing you further into the heart of this magical place, where time itself seems to slow, folding inward like a soft sigh. A slow, graceful butterfly with wings like spun glass flutters past, its delicate movements catching the light and scattering it in a myriad of tiny rainbows. It pauses briefly to rest on a nearby leaf, its fragile form almost translucent, and you watch in quiet awe as it basks in the garden's gentle glow, before lifting off again into the twilight. The garden pulses with life, yet everything moves with a deliberate slowness, as if the very air has been enchanted to encourage calm and contemplation. You find a comfortable stone seat beneath a canopy of silverleaf trees, their branches swaying softly in the invisible breeze. Sitting here, you close your eyes and breathe deeply, feeling the gentle hum of the garden weave itself through your senses, wrapping you in warmth and peace. In this hidden glade, surrounded by shimmering plants and the soft chorus of nature's magic, you sense the ancient rhythms of the earth and forest, entwined with the gentle pulse of your own breath. Here, the garden becomes more than a place. It is a sanctuary of light and shadow, a refuge for the spirit and a quiet guardian of dreams yet to come. You find yourself standing before the remains of a great fallen tree, a titan of the forest whose colossal trunk lies sprawled like a fortress across the mossy earth. Its bark is weathered and cracked, ancient rings exposed where limbs have broken away, telling silent stories of centuries past. The sheer scale is humbling. This was once a living giant, its branches scraping the sky, its roots deep as the earth's heart. Beneath the fallen titan's colossal frame, you notice a soft bed of moss so thick it cushions your footsteps like a gentle pillow. As you kneel to press your palm into it, the moss responds with a faint warmth, as if the earth itself breathes beneath your touch. Tiny shoots of emerald green unfurl slowly nearby, resilient signs of new life blossoming from ancient roots. The contrast between the titan's mighty decay and these fragile beginnings humbles you, a delicate reminder of nature's endless cycle. A subtle vibration pulses through the air, barely perceptible, yet undeniably present. You realize it is the heartbeat of the forest, steady and deep, resonating through the wood and soil. Closing your eyes, You align your own breath with the rhythm, feeling your pulse synchronize with this ancient cadence. The sensation grounds you, as though the Titan's spirit flows through your veins, connecting you intimately to the wider web of life that thrives here. Curious, you trace your fingers along the Titan's cracked bark, following the maze of fissures that map its long life. Each crevice tells a story of fierce storms weathered, of birds nesting safely in hidden hollows, of seasons' endless passage. The bark's rough texture feels like a living manuscript, worn smooth in places where countless creatures have brushed against it, leaving invisible signatures etched in time. Peering into one of the Titan's hollowed limbs, you discover a delicate colony of glowworms, their bodies casting a soft, pulsing green light like living lanterns. The glow illuminates the interior in a surreal radiance, revealing delicate webs spun between the wood fibres. You watch as a tiny spider weaves cautiously through the strands, orchestrating this intricate home within the ancient giant's remains. The interplay of light and shadow here feels almost sacred. From within the fallen Titan's hollow, a gentle breeze rises, carrying with it the mingled scents of earth, rain, and wildflowers. The fragrance is intoxicating, a natural perfume that seems to cleanse your mind of distraction and hurry. You breathe deeply, letting the scent fill your lungs and calm your thoughts. With each inhalation, you feel more rooted in this timeless place, more attuned to its quiet wisdom. Small creatures emerge from the cracks and crevices. A cluster of shiny beetles scuttle across the bark, their iridescent shells flashing like jewels in the dappled sunlight. Nearby, a family of tiny frogs croak softly in a moss-lined pool nestled in a hollow. Their voices blend with the rustle of leaves and distant bird calls, composing a gentle symphony that celebrates life flourishing even amidst decay. You find a spot where the fallen Titan's bark has split to reveal a cavity filled with sparkling quartz crystals. The crystals catch stray light, fracturing it into myriad colours that dance across the mossy floor. The air around them tingles with energy, as though these stones hold the memory of the forest's oldest magic. Running your fingers over the cool facets, you feel a subtle charge hum beneath your skin, a fleeting connection to the earth's deep power. Time seems to slow as you settle yourself against the Titan's vast trunk, the coolness of the bark seeping through your clothing. The silence here is profound, yet alive with quiet murmurs, whispers of wind threading through leaves, the soft patter of distant rain, and the low hum of unseen insects. You close your eyes, surrendering to this stillness, allowing your mind to drift and your heart to open. In this moment, you sense the cycle of life and death, growth and rest, weaving itself around you like a gentle cloak. The fallen Titan embodies both the end of an era and the fertile promise of beginnings, a testament to endurance and transformation. You feel yourself part of this eternal story, a single note in the endless melody of the forest's breath. Further along the mighty trunk, you discover delicate fungi sprouting in neat clusters, some white and feathery, others vivid orange, their caps like tiny umbrellas sheltering the forest floor. The fungi's soft texture and earthy aroma suggest a subtle magic, one of renewal and silent decomposition, turning decay into nourishment. Watching the fungi thrive in darkness, you feel awe for this unseen alchemy working beneath the surface. As your gaze lifts to the canopy glimpsed beyond the fallen giant, shafts of sunlight pierce the foliage in golden streams. Tiny motes float through the light like dust stirred by time itself, each particle shimmering as if alive. Birds sing softly, their calls echoing between the standing trees, adding a delicate melody to this serene tableau. The forest is alive, even in the Titan's shadow, embracing change with quiet grace. A sudden rustle draws your attention to a family of squirrels darting nimbly over the branches still intact. Their quick, lively movements bring a spark of playful energy into this ancient scene. One pauses momentarily, blinking bright eyes your way before bounding off, tail flicking. The vitality of these small creatures reminds you that life continues, adapting and flourishing amid the old giant's remains. You crouch to examine a shallow pool formed in a hollow of the Titan's trunk. The water is perfectly still, a mirror to the sky above. Tiny insects dance on its surface, their legs barely disturbing the glassy calm. Leaning closer, you spot minuscule reflections of clouds drifting lazily, and a dragonfly poised gracefully, its wings a delicate lattice of light and shadow. This tranquil water seems to capture the essence of the forest's stillness. Nearby, a narrow path winds through thick underbrush and flowering shrubs, inviting you to follow its gentle curves. The earth beneath is soft and warm, cushioned by centuries of fallen leaves. You walk slowly, mindful of each step, sensing the presence of unseen woodland spirits watching kindly. Every breath you take feels full of the forest's ancient wisdom and the quiet strength of the fallen Titan. As dusk approaches, the light softens to a muted lavender, casting long shadows and bathing the scene in twilight's hush. Fireflies begin to emerge, their tiny lights flickering like stars caught in the undergrowth. You pause to watch them weave among the branches, a silent dance celebrating the coming night. The fallen Titan, though lifeless in form, seems to pulse faintly with the magic of this twilight hour. Before you leave, you sit once more beside the Titan's great trunk, feeling its cool, textured surface beneath your hand. The stillness here is a balm to your spirit, a refuge where time's burdens fall away. The stories whispered by the cracked bark, the glow of fungi, and the song of small creatures all weave together, creating a tapestry of renewal woven from endings. You rise slowly, carrying this quiet peace with you as you step forward, the forest's eternal cycle unfolding gently with each breath. The soft earth beneath your feet feels welcoming, a natural carpet woven from centuries of fallen leaves, moss, and soil enriched by time itself. The fallen Titan's mighty shadow fades behind you, replaced by a narrowing path that winds deeper into the heart of the ancient woods. It's a path worn smooth by countless footsteps, both animal and human, each step a quiet echo in the symphony of the forest. As you begin to follow the trail, the light shifts subtly, transforming from the bright clarity of day to the gentle hues of approaching dusk. Golden shafts of sunlight filter through the dense canopy, casting long, dappled patterns that dance across mossy stones and gnarled roots. The air cools slightly, carrying with it the soft scent of pine resin and damp earth, a fragrance that speaks of quiet reflection and the slowing of time. The forest around you hums softly with life, the distant calls of owls, the rustle of small creatures stirring in undergrowth, the faint crackle of leaves stirred by a gentle breeze. Each step feels purposeful yet unhurried, as if the path itself invites you to slow down, to breathe deeply, and to be present with the moment. You notice the delicate wildflowers edging the trail, their petals trembling softly in the breeze, delicate blues, soft whites, and gentle yellows that seem to glow faintly in the waning light. A solitary butterfly flits past, its wings catching the last light in a flicker of iridescence before disappearing into the trees. The quiet beauty of these small moments fills you with a gentle gratitude, a feeling of being exactly where you need to be. Further along, the path curves around a slender brook, its waters sparkling with the reflection of the twilight sky. The brook murmurs softly as it winds its way over smooth stones, a soothing constant melody that blends seamlessly with the forest's ambient chorus. You pause to dip your fingers into the cool, clear water, feeling its refreshing chill ripple through your skin. The brook's gentle flow seems to mirror the journey you've taken, sometimes swift and clear, sometimes meandering and mysterious, always moving forward. Nearby, a cluster of fireflies begins to emerge, their tiny lights flickering like scattered stars caught within the trees. They dance and weave in the twilight air, their gentle glow creating a magical canopy above the trail. Watching their slow, deliberate movements, you feel a quiet joy, a reminder that even in darkness there is light, Even in endings there is promise. The fireflies seem to mark the path ahead, their soft lanterns guiding you gently toward what is yet to come. As the sun dips below the horizon, the sky deepens into rich shades of lavender and indigo. The first stars begin to twinkle faintly overhead, scattered like jewels on velvet. The forest's shadows lengthen and blend, wrapping you in a cocoon of peaceful solitude. The trees stand tall and watchful on either side, their silhouettes framed by the night sky, ancient sentinels guarding the secrets of the woods. The air is crisp now, carrying the faint scent of night-blooming flowers and pine needles. The path rises gently to a small clearing, where the soft glow of phosphorescent fungi illuminates the edges of ancient stones, their light casting an otherworldly blue hue across the moss and grass. You step into the clearing, feeling as though you have entered a sacred space where the forest's deepest magic lingers. Here, time feels fluid, and the boundary between the natural and the mystical blurs. You close your eyes and inhale deeply, sensing the presence of the forest spirit, a quiet guardian watching over all who walk these paths. Opening your eyes, you notice a simple wooden bench nestled beneath a sweeping oak, its surface worn smooth by countless visitors who have sought rest and contemplation here. You settle onto the bench, letting your body relax and your thoughts drift. The forest's evening chorus continues around you. Crickets sing their rhythmic song, leaves whisper secrets on the breeze, and a distant owl calls softly into the night. In this moment of stillness, you feel a profound connection to the land, to the past, and to the path that lies ahead. Your mind wanders back over the journey you have taken, from the first steps beneath the forest canopy, through whispered glades and ancient trees, to the fallen Titan, and now this twilight sanctuary. Each experience has woven itself into the fabric of your being, a tapestry of light and shadow, growth and rest. You realize that the path you follow is not only a physical trail, but a metaphor for your own unfolding story. A journey shaped by curiosity, resilience, and quiet wonder. As darkness deepens, the forest gently urges you onward. Rising from the bench, you step back onto the path, guided by the soft luminescence of the fungi and the twinkling fireflies. The way forward is cloaked in mystery, but also in promise. You carry with you the wisdom of the forest, the knowledge that endings give rise to beginnings, that each step is both an arrival and a departure. The night enfolds you like a gentle embrace, and you walk with steady heart and open spirit. The trail leads upward now, through a tunnel of intertwined branches and leaves that arch high overhead. Moonlight filters down in silvery beams, illuminating the path with a gentle glow. You pause to gaze upward, watching as stars shimmer through the foliage, a reminder of the vastness beyond the forest's edge, of worlds waiting to be explored. The quiet majesty of the night sky fills you with a sense of awe and possibility. With each step, the forest feels more like a living, breathing companion than a mere collection of trees. Its rhythms pulse in your veins, its quiet strength becoming your own. You are part of a larger story, one that stretches beyond this place, beyond this moment. The path ahead is unknown, but it is also inviting, a gateway to new adventures and discoveries yet to unfold. Eventually the trail begins to descend, the trees thinning as the canopy opens to reveal the first hints of a distant horizon. The soft glow of dawn is already touching the farthest edges of the sky, a pale promise of morning. You quicken your pace, anticipation stirring within you. The forest's magic will stay with you, a quiet companion for all the days to come. As you step from the woods into open fields bathed in the early light, you turn back for a final glance. The trees stand solemn and silent, guardians of countless secrets, their branches swaying gently in farewell. You carry their peace within you, a sacred gift from the heart of the forest. With steady steps, you walk forward along the path ahead, toward new stories, new wonders, and the endless unfolding of life.